Boom. What's up, y'all? Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your host, D-Man, A.D. Walker, the pusher, the girl, the motivator. I appreciate you guys rocking with us today. Um, we're going to have a great show today. It's like we did yesterday. It's a good show. It's just the brothers today. Tomorrow I have another guest talking about mental health. So that's going to be a great conversation as well. Make sure you share. Make sure you share and join our community. Text LWN to 84576. That's LWN to 84576. That's the Legacy Walker Network. Legacy Walker Network. So join our community of different conversations that we're having on different spectrums and different areas. So make sure you join text our community. So today we are discussing. What are we discussing? Our emotions being pushed on purpose. Are our emotions being pushed on purpose? There's so much happening around, and with the closing of this Derek chauvinistic case. And yeah, I said that chauvinistic. We are coming to the end of it. They are preparing for the worst. Sometimes when I see that, you like, do they already know the answer? But obviously they don't, because they're waiting for the jury to come back with the verdict. I'm not sure if they're in deliberation yet, but I'm sure today, I think is the end of it, either closing, and we're kind of waiting. So we don't know what's the answer going to be. We're not sure how it's going to go down. At some point, I'm gonna have my brother Jay Hamilton come through and give us a synopsis of the case and give us a breakdown. But yeah, it's it's so much that you see on TV. Sometimes even in fictional dramas, that kind of bring back a lot of emotions. Um, but are we being pushed on purpose? On purpose, it's fine to remember, so we stay in the fight. It's another thing to constantly see images that keep you angry. So today I kind of want to dig into it with my other brothers shortly, or not, maybe just me, to discuss. You know, is it a programming? Is it have you ever played a game and you get so upset you do worse because you're angry? You're not thinking, you're not focused. You just so bent on winning that you get distracted or you get out of whack. So I kind of want to dig into that, because it's crazy how all of this is going on, and it drives you. I can't watch, like, I didn't even watch this case. I've watched a lot of cases, of course, over the years and decades. Um, but I did not watch this case purposely, because it's so emotional. It's such a roller coaster, and then it's kind of like a movie. You're waiting at the end to see what happens, and it's so deflating if the verdict is not what you want. Um, so me and my wife made the choice of not getting on that roller coaster. Unfortunately, regardless, we're gonna know about it. Regardless, we're gonna see it. So that's what we're talking about today. Um, so this is going to be a great conversation. We're going to dig into this. It's crazy about what's happening and how our reaction matters. Because when you get upset, you get angry. It takes away from what's happening in your world. So we're going to dig into that today. So make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Make sure you tag somebody. Let everybody know that we are in the building, and I appreciate you guys rocking with us, and my replay viewers and my podcast people steadily growing, and I appreciate that community as well. And if you're listening on podcast, make sure you text. You can go to the show notes and click on the link. You can go to LXWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. All right, guys, we're gonna get into this. Make sure you share, tag somebody, because I know you've had this conversation before. I know you've had this conversation before. What's up, V? Good morning. Thanks for rocking with us. All right, so we're gonna get into it in one moment. All right, let's go.
I didn't want to catch
Good
that.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another episode. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody?
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Whether you're trying to up your production or just go live, StreamYard is the place to be. Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Flocknote. Start your free text community now at bit.ly free text now. That's bit.ly free text now. Boom. All right. So, I didn't share. I did all that watching, but I didn't share. Let's see. Hold on one second, guys. Let's see. Sharing is caring. So make sure you share. Share. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, Miss Kathy. Hey, Mama McCoy. Great morning to you. Let's see. All right. Is that coming through? Oh Lord. Tell me that Facebook is not working. That's great. It is great. All right. Oh, so yeah. So do you feel like I know I've watched and it's funny, they were talking about the Derek Chauvin case, or not funny, but they were talking about the Derek Chauvin case yesterday, and it's like they just kept showing the image of Derek Chauvin's knee on George Floyd's neck. Like they just kept showing it. It got to the point, then they started censoring George Floyd's face in the scene. Like they just kept showing it. And I always just wonder why, right? Why constantly try to rev up our emotions? Now, I know if you've realized about news, they are all about, what up, Rich? Okay, my Facebook is broken down on StreamYard. So at least you guys can see me. That's all that matters. So, hey, what's up, Cheryl? Sports car lady. Of course, YouTube was working. That's awesome. But so yeah, so it's like they are trying to rev up our emotions in order to get an emotional reaction, and I feel like how much imagery is too much. It's fine to see, it's fine to know, and we'll always remember. What up, Cole? Good morning. Um, it's fine to see, fine to remember, but it's crazy that it's constantly seen over and over again. And CNN is infamous for that. Something happens and they show the scene over and over again. And I spoke about this probably some months ago, but I just kind of want to revisit because we're ending the Derek Chauvin case, and regardless of the verdict, there's going to be emotions all over the place. There are some that are for Derek Chauvin. They're going to be upset if the verdict goes, for a guilty verdict. Of course, there are those like us that are for him being guilty, and if it's not guilty, we're going to be upset. And so I asked the question: are we being pushed on purpose? Are we being pushed on purpose, or is this a necessary evil? Do we need to be constantly pushing the imagery in our face? I mean, I get it, because most times when I speak like this, everybody goes back to Emmett Till, and I get it. I'm on the edge of my seat waiting. Right. See right there though, like it's like, and I know you know this, but it's like it's not a movie. And it's one thing when you watch a movie, because you watch movies and the ending goes a certain way. You're like, I can't believe that, and you just watch the credits roll. He's like, I can't believe it ended like that. But this is like real life, and this is emotional. This is justice, and it's just it hurts. It hurts. Um, you said I have thoughts of the Rodney King being considered nothing but an L.A. area court. Right, right. Oh, I mean that was for me my first disappointment. Because I don't think I don't know how much they televised the case. I don't even remember. I just remember watching the end and wondering like, wait, what happened? That we had videotape. Like it wasn't Rodney's word against the cops. It was a videotape. She says, yes, indeed. Let's see, Richard, they are trying to goad people to cause riots to them come down hard on you. You're right. Simple, don't bite. Right. I know. I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying, Rich. Rich is basically saying, they are pushing there is a somebody pushing us to riot. Oh, but you're angry. It's anger, man. It's like, how can we not get justice from this? It was clear case right in front of our face. And what do you do with all that energy, all that anger? All right, let's get my brother from another mother in the building. Good morning, Pastor. Great morning to you, sir.
Good morning, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Doing well. So yeah, so as far as your emotions being, do you feel like, and today's we're talking about our emotions being pushed on purpose? And I talk about the imagery being in our face. I know most times it's like, well, Emmett Till, and I get it. Emmett Till needed to happen because there wasn't a lot of imagery. There wasn't a lot of seeing of it. So the mother took the bold step of saying, listen, this face needs to be all over this world because they need to know what's happening. And we know what's happening. We know what's going on. More or less, videotape is now evidence. So, something happens. It's evidence, you
Yeah.
know. We know we in every video we watch, we're hoping like, "Oh, please don't let this end the way I think it's going to end. Even if it's a beatdown, but it's like, well, at least they live, they go to court, hopefully they'll win. Things of that nature. Oh yeah. So Cole mentioned I was just watching. He said, what are your thoughts about Rep. Maxine Waters encouraging protests to be more confrontational should an acquittal happen? And is that, I guess you put it in quotes. So that's what is that what she said? More
Yeah, that's
confrontation?
what she said.
Oh, because I was
She
watching.
said they need to know that we mean business. We have to be more confrontational. But why are her comments any different than Giuliani spewing what he spewed? We
Right,
will not go quietly into the
right.
night. We will
I'm with
fight.
you. I'm with you.
Right.
I'm with
So
you. I
I
agree.
don't, but I don't, the whole back and forth with the sound bites from politicians.
Right,
I have no room for that on either side. The reality is Maxine Waters should be quiet.
right,
She knows that when she makes inflammatory remarks, that they're going to use those remarks against the cause.
right, right,
So to whom much is given, much is required. Your
right,
voice should not speak like that. Leave that to the
right,
people that aren't in pivotal positions.
right,
Right. That's the
right,
thing. You're going to be silenced legally, and you're the voice that we have in the room.
right, right,
So stop. You
right,
don't have to. There are plenty of people out there talking about being confrontational.
right.
And
The
I think that she should be quiet. I mean, they've
the
already caught her in certain statements, and Lord knows I appreciate everything that she's done. But
right,
you have to be wise in this day and age.
right,
And I'd rather her fight in the room, in the back room
right,
that we don't have
right,
access to,
right. That's what I need
than
you
to
at.
become a distraction on the
Right,
streets.
right.
We are believers. We're supposed to be witnesses, the presence of God in the earthly realm. Right? We're not
Right,
supposed to look like them.
right. That's true.
So in the position that she's in,
Right,
she's not supposed to look like them.
right, right, right. That's true. I I guess it just happened. Um, the defense were saying we're trying to use her words and other things in context to try to cause a
The judge,
mistrial.
the trial judge said, and I quote, "Yeah, I understand that Maxine Waters may have made statements that could probably get this overturned."
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, the judge said it, and I'm like, why would you say that
right,
out loud? Why would you say that
right,
on camera?
right.
You're talking about the influence that Maxine Waters has. That's what the
Yep.
defense is talking about. So, what
Hmm.
level of influence do you have as the judge? You're the presider over this entire trial, and those are
Right.
your comments.
Yeah.
So, if it can be overturned on appeal,
Right. Yeah.
then
Yeah.
what prevents it from being a mistrial today?
Right.
Because of your
Right.
comments.
Right. And the prosecutor was like, give me some specifics. This is not, you give me vague, this is not what directly. And I mean, and I guess that he was saying the jury should have been, I guess the jury should have been sequestered, especially with a trial this big.
They were sequestered. They are sequestered.
I don't think so. He said they weren't. They're not. They're
Who said
not.
that?
The defense said it, and the judge was like, "Yeah, they're not sequestered."
I thought that when they went to when the trial when the case got handed to the jury was sequestered.
Nope.
I missed that then.
Yeah, because I was like, that's different because he kept saying it. So, and the judge ain't correct him. I was like, oh, they're not sequestered, so they out and about. And the judge just said, "Don't watch TV."
Hmm.
so and then because then the defense was like, complaining that people some shows have been using this trial for some of their plots, so the jury might be getting tainted while watching some of their favorite shows. He didn't get
Oh,
specific. He got word from somebody.
yeah. Well, my thing is, I was talking to my mother yesterday, and she was talking about all the barricades and they're boarding up the stores and all this stuff, and it seems that somebody might know something we don't know. They're preparing for a not guilty verdict.
Yeah,
right?
I think they're just preparing.
I said my comment was they're preparing for a verdict regardless of what it is. I think that there are going to be people angry whether he found guilty or people angry whether he's found not guilty. But
true.
What I realize is people don't prepare for white uprisings. Think about it. Think about January 6th.
True. No, you're right. I agree.
We are not a nation that prepares for white people to go off. They don't prepare for it.
True.
Right?
True. That's true. I mean, and they cause some damage. They cause damage when they win championships.
Yeah, they turn cars upside down, light them on fire. They do all that. Nobody prepares for white people to riot.
Right. That's true. that is a good point. That is a good point.
Everybody knew that there were going to be a bunch of people in Washington on January 6th, and what they did was they gave people the day off.
Right. I ain't got to be here. It's gonna be outside. They're not going to do nothing. Yeah. Right. That's crazy. Let's see. Rich said, "Hey, Pastor, Facebook is not working." So, I'm looking at the comments. Right. Yeah. Facebook is down. My one issue with StreamYard.
Facebook is down, or
Facebook is down on StreamYard. It's not coming up. It's not coming up as far as the comments. The comments aren't coming up, but everyone can see us and all that good stuff.
Oh, so I need to get on Facebook.
Yeah, just do it on if you do it on your phone, you can see it as well. Cole said, "Oh yeah, to your point, Richard, Governor Ron of Florida just signed a bill into law called the anti-riot law last night. It is as if flames are being fanned." Let's see. The jury, said the jury wasn't sequestered. The seeds for a mistrial has already been planted. So I don't know legally. So when a mistrial happens, it's not a not guilty or guilty? It's just pushed to another time, or is it just what happens with a mistrial?
Yeah, you have to retry the case.
Retry it, right? That's all we need. He said, to your point, Pastor, I was a Western PA in a Western PA newsroom, and the first thing out of the editor in chief's mouth was, "Keep your eyes and ears open for riots and the Chauvin verdict."
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm. Do you like? Okay, so I remember. I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about the '94. The riots in LA. I was not '94, probably like '92. So I was probably like 16ish, and I remember watching it. I don't know, like I didn't feel like I wanted to be there in the riot, if that makes sense. Like I was upset, just like a lot of Black Americans. I mean, I guess the way, well, especially after what's his name? Oh, what's his name? The white guy that got pulled out of the truck, hit in the head with the fire extinguisher. Cole, I know he knows his name. Reginald Denny. Reginald
Oh,
Denny.
Reginald Denny.
Yeah. Right. 92. Reginald Denny. Um, when he got, then I knew Cole. I knew you knew. But when he got hit, that's when I really felt bad. Like, what's going on with the riots? Then I felt like, why burn down your neighborhood? Like, why burn down the place that you live? Like I always wondered about that. I mean, I guess for this situation, it's in the same town. We're tired of these cops. A lot of times, this is not the first time. This is a systemic issue, a systemic problem that we've always been dealing with. And you got those that have had to deal with it directly. That's like trying to get some get back.
Yeah.
What's your thought on rioting? Like how do you feel? I mean, we know it's bad, but like, how do you feel about, when it happens? Or and so I'm asking two parts. So it's going. How do you feel about rioting?
Here's
That's the
where,
first one.
this is where I get into trouble
I know I'm setting you up.
being a preacher, right? Because I say it all the time, because I'm supposed to be a pastor, because I preach the gospel, I'm not supposed to be angry. I'm not supposed to have any violence in me. But I tell people all the time that I'm a man.
Right.
I am feeble, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a work in progress like anybody else. The difference between me and you is how much time we spend in the Bible and laying before the Lord.
Right.
That's the only difference.
Right.
That's it. I prepare to teach, and you may not.
Right.
You study the Bible for living. I studied the Bible for living and teaching,
Right.
and preaching and encouraging. And so none of that is it's not an exemption from drama. Right. Not only am I the president of the hair club for men, I am also a member.
All right.
I struggle with hair loss too. I get emotional too. I get angry too.
Right.
And I have to pray to keep myself from going upside people's heads on a regular basis too.
Right.
And I'm so glad that I have a good record. Recently, I haven't actually done that, but there's nothing to say that it can't happen, because I'm human.
Right.
And I'll have to ask for forgiveness. So when it comes to rioting, I don't believe in violence. I don't want anybody to be violent. I don't want anybody tearing anything up, because I would hate for somebody to come and wreck the face of my building. If I walked over there and saw that somebody broke the window out in the church, I'm going to have a problem. Right.
Yes, indeed.
So that's a problem for me, but I'm not going to ignore, scripture. You will catch these hands. Don't get me on the wrong day or in the wrong situation. But I'm being funny, so don't be taking me there, Cole. There's a time to laugh and a time to cry, a time to live and a time to die.
Right.
It doesn't say how you died.
Right.
We have to be very careful, because I do believe that there are certain things that we that are worth fighting for.
Right. Right.
I just believe that. And I believe that human rights is worth fighting for. If you attack my family, if you attack my loved ones,
Right.
be prepared for a fight. If you verbally attack them, be prepared for a verbal altercation.
Right.
If you emotionally attack them, be prepared for an emotional altercation. If you
Right.
physically attack them, be prepared for a physical altercation.
Right. Right. All right. So what was my question? Oh man. I had a second question. Um
So yes, I believe we are being pushed on purpose.
okay. You feel like you're being pushed on
I
purpose.
do believe. Yeah, listen. I was talking to a friend of mine, military fellow veteran, and he shared with me a link. There are. I just discovered this. There are veterans. Well, actually, there are active military and veterans that are part of a group, and this group has faith in QAnon.
Wow.
They believe in this extreme right, this extremism on the far right.
Right.
They believe in wanting to go to battle. They're prepared for that. You know, they want to do it. They want to provoke. They absolutely want a civil uprising. They want it, and they're looking
Wow.
forward to it. And these are, and when I tell you there are thousands of military people, I'm talking special forces, SEALs,
Wow.
that are part of an underground organization.
Wow.
And they just don't stand by. You know, when the president said stand back and stand by, they heard it too.
Wow.
That's a fact. And so, yeah, somebody wants to fight.
Right. 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 But why?
Because they feel like it's the only way to preserve
Wow.
their kind.
Wow.
Who was it? Marjorie Taylor Greene, the politician,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
right?
Yes.
That new group, that movement that she's trying to create
Uh-huh.
to preserve the Anglo-Saxon
Right.
way of life.
Right.
And she just had to step back. She had to backpedal a little bit
Yes.
because the GOP got upset. They're
Yep.
trying to separate from that.
Yes.
They're like, well, nope, you're putting our business in the street, because they're not saying don't do it. They're saying they're not supposed to know about that.
Mm.
Right? Matt Gaetz publicly commented on it. I completely support Marjorie Taylor in this movement.
Right.
You know, I'm saying, man, these folks, they're afraid that white folks are losing ground. And they're talking, and she's saying things like, we have to get back to the original America and all of that. I'm like, if you get back to the original America, y'all not here.
Right. Well, that too.
They're basically saying we stole America fair and square.
Right. She said,
We stole it fair and square.
Right. Oh, wow. So have you kept up? Have you been watching the case by any chance?
Not in the last couple of days. It's just been crazy for me. But
Okay.
I am up to the point to where I saw some stuff on Sunday. I caught up a little bit on Sunday, but
Okay.
nothing as of the last 24 hours.
Gotcha. I mean, I know I started off talking about how we haven't really been following it like that. I've kind of got off that emotional roller coaster, you know, like, cause you watch it kind of like a drama, and you see the obvious, what seems like the obvious, like this is clear cut case of murder, you know. So you watch, and the ending comes, and you just, like a bad movie, you're disappointed. Like, how did this end like that? You know, like, how did this is clear, like, this is straightforward, like, this is good.
Well, you know, and that's the thing, you know, that's the thing about, that's the gimmick of practicing law, right? Practicing law is like practicing medicine. Nothing is definitive. Nothing is
right.
You know what I mean? That's
right.
The part that you start to realize, because
right.
it's a law practice.
Right.
It's a medical practice.
Yes.
So may the best man win.
Right.
That's all it is. And so if that's the case, you have room for injustice. May the
Right.
best man win leaves room for injustice. Beyond a reasonable doubt has been getting people off forever.
Right.
You have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And
Right.
so if you say it's beyond a reasonable doubt, then I can challenge you and say, well, you can't guarantee me factually that Chauvin intended to kill that man.
Right.
Because
It's
you don't
like
know what was in his head.
all I need is a little bit
All
of
I
doubt.
need is to put enough doubt in one person's mind in the
Right.
jury.
Right.
One person.
Right. One person. Cole said the defense was getting everything he could possibly can in his closing argument, taking close to 2.5 hours. Yeah, and it's funny. Jay Hamilton wrote he's been kind of keeping up writing the synopsis of the case, and he said a lesson for those that close. He said, don't do it so close to lunch. He said he was going so long, the judge had to stop him to tell him he was hungry. So he was like, be mindful, because then because we know when you get hungry, your mind is like, can we get done? Are we done yet? Because I'm starving. I've been sitting here for hours. Again, I'm sure there's no really getting up or moving around. I'm just sitting here listening to everybody, trying to take it all in. So yes, it's that was kind of funny, like a strategy. He was like, well, try to get it after lunch, and then I don't know if that's good, because sometimes after you eat, you may have that itis, and it's like my focus ain't all the way there. Cole also said, here's the funny thing: Chauvin isn't on trial for straight murder. I mean, second degree unintentional murder. The knee was on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes. That looks intentional to me, indeed. And I've said to others, I think they went for second degree because the bar for first degree is higher, so it's a little harder to prove, especially for a cop, because a cop's supposed to be there. A cop can kill somebody.
But that's the thing. It's like, but the statement, especially for a cop,
right?
What does that mean?
I mean, and if you
no, I'm saying what I'm saying is that's where we live.
I got you. It should be.
We say statement like, well, especially for a cop,
right? What does that mean? Right. Right. I got it.
For a white man, he's right, because that's the way the system is designed, and because the system is designed that way, and you have to think about this. We say, yeah, he was white, but that's to get him off. That's to give him room. When you say he was black, it's to guarantee he's guilty. It's the two totally opposite ends of the spectrum, right? We give whites an out, and we don't give outs to blacks.
Right.
When we talk about innocent until proven guilty, that works for everybody but black people or minorities.
Right.
For us, it's guilty unless proven innocent.
Innocent. Right.
You understand?
True.
When a black, because you don't hear, there was a police officer on with Don Lemon. I don't know if it was last night. I saw the recording, and he's from Chicago, and he worked on the police force, and he was talking about the shooting of this 13-year-old.
Right. And
they actually had the video where the cop asked a 13-year-old, turn around, put your hands up, and he turns and lifts his hands, and they shoot. Okay. And so this black cop, this former cop, he says, listen, what people don't understand is that's murder. He says they don't give him, he does not even have an opportunity. And the guy says, if you're a cop and you're afraid, you're timid, you shouldn't be a cop. This is a cop talking. He says, I was on those streets. I patrolled those streets. I chased bad guys down with weapons, and I never, ever killed anybody.
Wow.
All the years I spent on those Chicago streets, I was on them same streets. I walked that same beat that he was in. He says, and I chased people for years, in that same area, and I never shot anybody.
Wow.
And I began to think, how often do we hear about a black person shooting a bad guy?
Right.
I mean, is it ever on the news?
Right.
We know it happens, but we don't hear about that.
Right.
There's no video of a black guy shooting a white guy who tried to get away.
Interesting.
I mean, obviously there's no news on a white guy shooting a white cop shooting a white guy getting away
Right.
either. There's news, there's video of white cops being dismantled
Right.
by people trying to get away.
Right. Right.
You know?
Right. Right.
So what I'm
Right.
saying is, and so he
I
was,
got it.
and he called him out. He's like, man, that's murder. And what I'm saying is, this stuff is so obvious that the fact that the jury is still debating.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
That's the
Right.
world we live in. They want to make absolutely sure that they get this right, as if they saw a different video
Right.
than what the world
Right.
saw. But here's what I learned. They were talking about the makeup of the jury. I don't want to get too far off into this, but
No, you're good. You're good.
on the jury. You know, there's a professor on the jury. You know, an
Right.
accountant or something. So you got people on there that are going to have
What's up there?
have a desire to see the technical aspects of it. Right? They want to see the evidence and all of that because they're tacticians.
Right.
You have the medical people. Then you have a social worker who looks for the psychological, the emotional side.
Right.
You know, what was
Right.
the state of mind and all. So you got all these people.
Wow.
The jury is made up. If there was ever a case for the wrong jury or the right jury,
Right.
this is it.
Wow.
Yeah, because you have people with professional backgrounds
Right.
sitting on this jury.
Right.
And so it's
Right.
no strange thing that it's taking time because everybody can see it from it. There's a doctor on the jury,
Wow.
right? In
Wow.
fact, there's a doctor some kind of respiratory pulmonologist, a doctor of pulmonology on the jury.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
he could look at
this is a wild one, man. And the world is waiting. The world is waiting.
Wow. Let's see.
Cole Somali American cop was sentenced to 12 and a half years for shooting a white woman in Minnesota.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we didn't hear about it because they sent him straight to jail.
Right. There's no big trial on that.
Be right back.
Let's see. Cheryl said, I was pleased to read this morning that the judge upheld the 30-year sentence for the white police officer who shot the black man in the back 15 times. NC case. Wow. So, do you feel like we've been pushed on purpose? Oh, there you go. He's back. Oh, there you go.
I'm sorry. I just saw that last statement you put that they upheld. But listen, here's the thing, Cheryl. You said you were pleased to read this morning that the judge upheld a 30-year sentence. So they tried to appeal for this guy. But one thing that stands out to me, he shot him 15 times.
Yeah.
We have to celebrate a failed appeal when a man was shot 15 times.
Right.
Okay, now I'll be right back.
I know. I think it's getting out of the obvious, right? It's, the things that should be a humanity-based thing is not. It's a realization of us trying to squeak out wins in a place that seems that where we don't have the leverage a lot of times, or like Pastor was saying, we seem guilty before we're innocent. Right. Mark said they want a reason to overturn the case. Right. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating, especially to watch it. It's frustrating. I can't imagine George Floyd's family, the stress of that. I couldn't imagine the stress of Trayvon Martin's family watching that case. Because I mentioned that because that was the last case that I followed, religiously. Like Jay, I could have probably put a post up every day about the trial because we watched it. Me and my wife, we watched that joint religiously. Like if we missed something, we go back to the highlights. We watched that case. And I realized, you get to the end and to watch the attitudes of the DA and the prosecutor. It was, man, yes, that is the word of the day. Yes, this is triggering. It's to the point where it sucks the life out of being in journalism. Mass shootings after unarmed people being shot to death after other atrocities. Yes, it's truly draining. I think that it's the triggering and the draining, the triggering and the draining, the triggering and the draining. It's exhausting. Um, so I can get the sentiment for some where a riot could break out, you know, after watching, and those that may start it may not have the best intentions, but after watching years and decades, it's just triggering and draining, and it could come to a point where you just kind of at a breaking point. Like you're tired of looking at it, you're tired of seeing it happen. What are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? How can we change this? um and I know sometimes the triggering and draining, you get stuck in this systematic racism perspective or space, and you're like, this is never going to change. And I think those things trigger riots too. This is never going to change. We're never going to be able to get the justice that we want to see. As it seems like, as a people, we've moved progressively in the space of corporate CEO, money, spending power. But it seems like in the space of justice, we struggle to to make a consistent headway. There's always a but, but, like always a justification, not a clear cut case. We see it. There's video, there's audio, um, and everything isn't clear. But most things that were pushed in our face, this national stuff, is clear. This George Floyd thing is it's clear. But there's so many arguments, there's so many fights, and it just feels like we're fighting just for rights, just for basic rights. And I think it just drives me crazy just to hear how others defend. So I know it's triggering, it's emotional, um, but we don't want to stay in this space. We don't get stuck in this space, because I feel like a lot of this is distracting. It's very distracting. And when you're so focused on the problem, it's harder to see a solution. When you're so focused on what's wrong, it's harder to see, how do we make this right? How do we change the system? How do we dig into it um, in a way that changes things around us? Um, let's see. Cole said riots are alluring when you see powers that be not move for the type of change you want to see. However, it is impossible to reason with anger. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. If Richard said everything changes with time. Yeah and no. I mean, everything changes if we do something, and then time has a way of helping us get to the destination. Meaning we have to start voting right. We have to have the right people in power in order to get the right mayor in power, in order to get the right police chief in power, in order for them to set the standard for how police need to act and to change the system. And it's a lot of fighting, with um Cheryl said, what happened to George Floyd was so painful that every day I tried to mentally understand how to deal with it. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so right now, Cheryl, that thought is taking up space in your brain, right? And where you could be trying to become innovative somewhere, trying to build something, create something, do something, your brain is working on this, trying to get understanding as to how does this happen, or how does it keep happening. And it's like these things take a toll on us. um and that's why, kind of, my call to action today is to not let the injustice consume you, where you feel like you have no way out. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let this consume your mind. Don't let it consume everything that you do. Don't let it consume you to the point where you can't move forward, or you can't see a better day. Cole said, many in the late 60s, our culture hated MLK's, right? 9/11 mantra. Many believe to literally fight fire with fire. If people didn't like solution oriented thinking, then yeah, exactly. Um, let's see. It tore me up when he called for, right, right, right. Full well our culture thinks this way now. Yeah. All right, let's get Pastor back in before we roll out of here. So, we all pray. We all, well, I won't say we all, but for the most part,
We all should
okay,
pray.
okay, right, we all should be. um, how, like, for you, right? How do you not keep yourself in such and get into an angry space? A frustrated space. How do you keep yourself from not looking at the consistent injustice, and how do you seek to see the light at the end of the tunnel, or see the light that's happening around you?
Well, you got to help me understand. What do you mean?
So how do you not let yourself get consumed by the anger? Because you see it a lot. You see the images over and over again, and like now we're seeing the Chauvin case, we're seeing the Dante case.
Yeah.
It's like perpetually something. Like my wife watches about 2 minutes of the news, and then she's like, "All right, I'm done. I got enough. Because especially here in Georgia, you hear there was a shooting at Lenox Square. Next story, a kidnapping happening to a little girl in Decatur, and
Yeah, I get
and
it.
then and then on top of it, a black man was shot by 5 cops while the black man was just bending down tying the sneaker. Like
Yeah.
it's like, wait, I'm done. This is the emotional roller coaster of constantly seeing, and because it's like both sides. So it's like you hear about the cops, then drive-by shooting happened, and you're like, I can't win with the cops. I can't win with some of my people. Like I'm like stuck in the middle. Like how do I find, then you see I'm trying to hang out in the white neighborhood. Now they're pushing me around. Like it's like where do I go? Where do I go?
I told you guys I was in an odd place last week, and I expressed that to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when I was preparing to speak on Sunday, I got a word, that lighthouse word, and I realized that we do go into this emotional state. We go into the state of anger, but I'm so glad that the Lord gives us room to be angry, right? He gives us room. He says, be angry, but sin not. And he says, be angry, but let not the sun go down on your wrath. So there's nothing wrong with getting angry. It's what's important is how you manage your anger, what you do with your anger. But we have a right to be angry. What Job did in his presentation to God was called righteous indignation.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with people getting angry. I don't have a problem with people getting mad. I have a problem with people going mad.
Right.
I got so you. So what I do with it is what I do with anything. When I get really excited, I pray. When I get really upset, I pray. I do the same thing no matter what. I pray, right? Because the effectual fervent prayers of a righteous man availeth much. Cole, be not overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. But that's different, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like being angry is not being overcome with evil. But I guess Cole is responding directly to your question. How do you keep from being overcome? I didn't get that part. So yeah. So Paul said that in Romans 12, but you got to remember how Romans 12 opens up. Right? That if you're gonna say give us Romans 12 and 21, you got to start with Romans 12, 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So Cole, put that in the comments.
Right.
So we can get the first part, and then Romans 12 and 21, makes all the sense in the world. If you have done Romans 12:1 and 2,
Right.
then Romans 12:21 makes it easy. I'm not going to tell you what it says. I won't call to type it since he typed that. Get your fingers to talking. No, I love that. I love what he's. I want to add to that, to what he's saying, and I appreciate that because that's not how we're designed. That it's all about right. Absolutely, I appreciate you, brother. It's all about what we do in response to it. That determines whether or not you've been overcome. When I have conversations with people, when I talk to my clients in my profession, I do this. I go into a conversation with the outcome in mind. I go into a conversation with an expectation that there are things that my client, we make this statement, engineers make this statement, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Therefore, I beseech you, I urge you, brothers and sisters, if you have God's mercy, to present your body a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. So this is another translation. I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. So when you do that, when you're giving yourself to the Lord, then you're making yourself available for the Lord to use you, and you're making yourself unavailable for the world to catch you. Right? That's the reality, because you're walking in the will of God. And when you're in the will of God, all things work together. Right. So when I look at this thing, I'm looking at the outcome. And when the outcome happens, I want to make sure that I have operated effectively inside the thing so that I can celebrate, have a true celebration on the other side. Right now, today, Maxine Waters is I don't know if she's in a struggle or she might not even care. But the reality is, if I'm in her place, and I cannot speak for her, she's been in this race, she's been in this fight a long time. You understand? And she's tired of the madness and all of that. But the reality is, Maxine, you've been in this fight a long time. Right. And but you're still sitting in that chair. And as far as I can tell, you don't have a successor. That's part of our problem. You understand? So I'm saying I don't want to be in a position to where when we get to the other side, I said this to my wife, we're going to be together. You look, I look trifling today. I didn't look like this when I met my wife. Right. We're going to have to go through some things. It's going to be hell trying to get through this thing. But when we get to the other side, I want to get there looking back over our life and giving God glory that we fought the good fight of faith. I don't want to get to the other side and look back and be like, man, we scratched and cried and crawled and fought all the way through each other. I'd rather you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
You have to think about the outcome. And that's, I'm rambling, and I hope I didn't lose anybody with this. But how do you keep from getting overcome? When you have an expected outcome of a thing, it helps you operate more effectively and properly inside of the thing when you believe that God is in control, not only inside, but God is in control of the outcome. So you don't get overcome with all of that nonsense. Okay, I'll get off my.
You're good. If you want more of that, continuing on tonight at 7:00, the South Temple Christian Ministries will be on. Pastor will be on, as well as, and I'm going to do a double commercial tonight at 8:30. You get to hear from the ladies, the Sisters of Legacy as well. So make sure you tune in, stay connected to the community. Text LWN to 84576. That's LWN to 84576. And you'll stay in the know and know what's going down. We like that code. Thank you, sir. All right. So we'll be right back, and then we're going to close out. Yeah. All right. So we appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. This has been an awesome conversation. Hopefully it's been at least enlightening. Yes. Drop a bomb, drop a word, so you gotta take a sip of the juice. Oh man. All right. Oh,
Cowboy juice.
cowboy cowboy juice. Juice of champions. He said, oh Lord, there goes that cup. All right. So listen, make sure you stay connected, join our community, text LWN to 84576. And if you hadn't, appreciate you, said, Coach, I love you, gentlemen. Thank you for showing love in the midst of a land so filled with hate. Thank you for such a powerful reminder. Continue to be blessed. Yes, indeed, Cole. I appreciate you, man. And I appreciate everyone that's been rocking with us.
Thank you, Cole.
So we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, same time, same channel. And I have a guest coming on, a therapist that's going to kind of talk about the emotional toll and the mental stress with everything going on, and some tips on how to deal with it from a mental aspect. So this is going to be a great conversation. And if you missed yesterday's conversation with our cryptocurrency expert, make sure you check that out as well. Appreciate that, Cheryl. Thank you so much. Make sure you check that out as well. And I will be shooting some of the resources, putting it in the Facebook chat, in the Facebook page, as well as I'll be sending it out to my text community, some of the websites that he spoke about as far as with the research with cryptocurrency. All right. So as always, appreciate you guys. Be blessed. Keep pushing, keep growing. Know that we love you, but God loves you more. Continue to stay safe and wear your mask and continue to pray. Continue to pray. Continue to pray. Continue to pray. And be safe and always do the right thing. But doctor, always do the right thing. All right, guys. See you in the AM.
I didn't want to catch
Good
that.
morning.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What's up, everybody?
This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Whether you're trying to up your production or just go live, StreamYard is the place to be. Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Flocknote. Start your free text community now at bit.ly/free text now. That's bit.ly/free